So I'm live, right? So let me just share this link in my various groups. So I'm live, right? So let me just share this link in my various. All right, so let me just share this link and then I will head into the solutions. In the meanwhile, good evening, everybody. How are you doing? How was the exam? Did it beat you or did you beat the exam? All right, let me just post this link on Facebook. Yes. Yeah, so you can probably share this link to your friend, your classmate, whosoever. Let them know so they can come and see how well they did on the exam. Somebody say paper two was food. All right, let's hope so. All right, alrighty. All right, let me just share this one more place and then that's it. Good. So welcome one, welcome all. Let's not waste any more time. It's 8:03 on the dot. Let's head into the exam. Now, this exam, my view of this exam is that it was a very easy exam. Very, very easy as long as you were prepared. I can see some parts where students may have had a difficulty. However, majority of the paper is an you could have easily gotten 60 marks in the paper too. That is easily 60 out of 100 is the least you should be getting. All right. Yeah. And the paper one, well, you have to practice that. However, the thing is, you also want to have some good exam taking techniques. You don't want to get tied down to one question, especially if you don't understand it. You want to move on. You don't want to spend too much time on one question. So I heard some feedback from some students is that they took too long on certain questions, and that is absolutely terrible. You don't want to spend time trying to get 2 marks when you got 40 marks in the paper that you could gain. So that's just something that you could think about in the next exam. So nevertheless, let's head into the paper first of all. So you can drop your comments. Let me see. Which school are you from? Let me just look at the chat quick. What school are you from? Which school and region are you from? So this is the instruction. Um, so this is it. So 10 questions. Read it. All the questions are compulsory. Yada yada yada. 2 hours, 40 minutes. So let's go. Let me drink some water. So I see Wisdom, Camille. So I met two young men in Wisdom the other day. One of those two young men are on the live. And they asked me about a question. So let's go. Number one. Number one says Ansgrove, Lancaster, Skeldon, Region 6, I flood. All right, I flood is in the house. Lenora, Kamwata. All right, 3 miles. United States of America. Okay. BI Dolphin, Masara. Oh, lovely. Masara, all the way in Region 9. Lovely. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Steward. Are any of my students on the live? Any of my students that I teach personally, are you here? You should be. Shout out yourself. All right, so the first one says, using a calculator, the beautiful calculator, or otherwise calculate the exact value of. So what I'll do, I'll work this out. I'll work this out manually, and then I'll involve the calculator to double check my answer. So what I want to do with these kind of questions, you want to convert all the mixed fractions to whole number, make improper fractions. So you multiply and then add. 3 fours, 12. 12 plus 1 is 13 over 3. Subtract, you multiply and then add again. 5 ones, 5 plus 2 would be 7 over 5. And then I would say just punch this in the calculator and work it out. But as I say, I'll go down the long road just in case you need this in your paper one and you don't have this beautiful tool. So you find the LCM of 3 and 5 would be 15. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 15 divided by 5 is 5. You take that answer, multiply there. 13 times 5. 13 times 5, that will give us 65. Subtract 15 divided by 5 is 3. You take that answer, multiply there. 7 threes, 21. So 65 subtract 21 will give us 44. So we have 44 over 15, and this will be divided by 4 over 15. We bring down this 4 over 15 here. And then we know for division, we change the multiplication, and then we upturn the last one. So this will be 44 over 15 multiplied by 15 over 4. And I can do some simplification. 15 is 50, we cancel out with this 15. And I'm sure 4 can go into 44. 44 divided by 4. Yes, 11. Why did I use my calculator? Anyways, let's blame the time. So this will give us 11. So hence the answer for this question is simply 11 for 2 marks. I see everybody sending 11, so you can give yourself a tap on the shoulder if you got 11. But also you can't punch it in a calculator, man. I sometimes it puzzles me when students get these simple questions wrong. You can easily punch in for the A, B, C function that you treat that this here. A, B slash C. You treat this here as a fraction bar, or this separates each number in a fraction. So for example, you want to open a bracket and then you press 4, A, B, C, 1, then you press A, B, C again, 3. And that will give you 4 over 3. And then you press minus 1 and 2 over 5. And then you close the bracket and then you press division and you press 4 over 15. Now we have 11. Nice and easy. So I said 2 out of 100. Well, we have to a solid start if you had 2. So let's carry on. The next one says write the exact value of 0.428 multiplied by 2.75. So they said they want the exact value of this. So when they say the exact value, or they say write the value exactly in decimal form, they didn't say round off to any decimal number. They say exactly in decimal form. Exactly. That means you're writing out the whole number. You're not rounding off as yet. So this answer will be 1.177. I saw a few papers. I saw a few students. They put 1.8 here. And because they put 1.8, sadly, they have no marks to get for this question, as easy as it may be. You want to put the exact number. They say exactly in decimal form. All right, so don't panic. So that is one easy mark there. Then they say to 2 decimal places. So we know 1.177 to 2 decimal places. We count 2 numbers after the decimal point. For decimal places, we start counting after the decimal point. So we count 1, 2, and then we look at the number after where we stop, and this is 7. We know once the number is 5 and more, you add 1 to the previous number. So this will be 1.18 as the answer. 1.18 as the answer. And we got that mark there. Nice and easy. And the next one says 2 significant figures. Now for significant figures with decimal places, you start counting after the decimal point. For significant figures, you start counting from the first non-zero digit. So wherever is the first non-zero digit, you start counting from there. So 1.177, the first non-zero digit, we count. So we start from the 1, so this would be 1, 2. And then we look at the next number where we start. So this is 7, so it's 5 and more. So this would be 1.2 as the answer. All right, 1.2 as the answer. Now, you don't want to be losing these kind of marks. So these questions here, they should have given you confidence to go through the exam. So let me just push it. Let me just drop it another tip. So let's say we had 0.0000352. I wanted to round this off correct to two significant figures. We can't count this, we can't count this, we can't count this, we can't count this. We have to start from this here. So this answer to two significant figures, this would be 0.00035. All right. So you start counting from the first non-zero digit. All right, so let's proceed. How are we looking so far? Are we looking good? Somebody's crying already. We can't start crying yet. All right, wipe your tears. We got a long way to go. It's a long night. I put the wrong thing. Well, you gotta put the right thing in the next exam and in CXC. Somebody said they use back the 1.18. Even if you use back the 1.18, if you count 1, 2, this number is still 5 and more, you still should have, put in the 1.2. Well, let's proceed. So we have next one. A sum of money was shared among three persons, and Anaya, Bella, and Ethan in the ratio is 2 to 3 to 5, respectively. If Ethan received $120 more than Bella, find the total amount of money shared. So we know it in the ratio, this would be 2, Bella would be 3, and Ethan would be 5. So they want Ethan. Who's Ethan? Ethan received 120 more than Bella. So Ethan, which is Ethan got the 5 in the share, and he received 120 more than Bella. So we see the difference between Ethan and Bella's share is 5 subtract 3. The difference is 2 shares. And the most important thing to do when you're dealing with ratio is to find what is the value of one share. So to find the value of one share, we saw that Ethan received 120 more. So to find the value of one share, it would be 120 divided by 2. Hence, this is equal to 60. So the value of one share is 60. So if the value of one share is 60 and we have a total share of 2, we have a total share of 2 plus 3 plus 5. 2 and 3, that will give you 5. 5 and 5, that is 10. So the total money shared, so we can say total amount shared would be 60 times 10, which would be $600. Nice and easy, 2 marks. Nice and easy, 2 marks. All right, nice and easy, 2 marks. So let's proceed, let's push forward. Nothing big and fancy. The most important thing when you're dealing with ratio is to find the value of one share. So look through the question and see how you can find the value of one share. And that will help you to answer any question as long as you find that one share. So the next one says, so we have some substitution. Come on. Oh, substitution. So it says, given that A is equal to 4, B is equal to 2, C is equal to -1, find the value of A minus B plus C. 1 mark. There's a reason why this is worth 1 mark, because it's too easy. It's too easy, man. So A is equal to 4. So wherever you see A, you replace and put 4. B is equal to 2. Wherever you see B, you replace and put 2. And C is equal to -1. So wherever you see C, you replace and put -1. So this will be, instead of 8, we'll have 4 minus the value of B, which is 2, plus the value of C, which is -1. Man, we got this tool. I hope we didn't work with this tool to waste time. Even if you're not good with the directed numbers, punch that in your calculator, but I'll work it mentally. So 4 subtract 2 would give us 2. So 2 plus -1. This here, this negative and this positive will turn into a minus. So 2 subtract 1 will give us simply 1. All right, 1. 1 mark. The next one, 2ab squared. So 2ab, so this 2ab squared, this means 2 multiplied by a multiplied by b squared. So this would be 2 multiplied by the value of a, they told us is 4, multiplied by the value of b, they told us is 2, and then we square the 2. So what we can do, we can square the 2 for us. So when we square this 2, we get 4, and 4 times 4 would give us 16, and 16 times 2 would give us 32. 32 was the answer. So the reason why you should be watching this live is not to feel sad to see, oh, you did not get that correct. This is not CSEC. This is the whole purpose of this exam is to assess how ready you are. So the mistakes that you make in this test, you should not be repeating them in the next exam and in CSEC. So don't feel sad if you did not get what I got, right? Don't feel sad. This doesn't count towards in your final score. Good. So that is a total of 9 marks. How are we looking out of 9? How are we looking out of 9 so far? So number 2 says the basic. Where are your students, sir? Adir just wants me to call his name. Adir, shout out to Adir, since Adir wants to be noticed. Anyways. So let's go. The basic wage earned by a truck driver was 40, well, for a 40-hour week is $560. Calculate his hourly rate, 1 mark. Now, when you see 1 mark, when you see a question is worth 1 mark, when you see a question is worth 1 mark, you don't want to be 1 mark means it's some simple thing you have to do, right? So let's go. 560 for his hourly rate. So we see it total is 40 hours for the entire week. So that means to find his hourly rate, it would be 560 divided by 40. Hence, that would give us 560 divided by 40. That would give us 14. So his hourly rate would simply be $14. $14. Nothing big and fancy to do there. $14, right? $14. So next one. For overtime work, the driver is paid a time and a half, 1.5 times the basic hourly rate. So 1.5 basically means whatever is his normal hourly rate, 1.5 means 1.5 times his normal hourly rate. See, if he makes $14 an hour, when he works overtime, he will be paid 14 times 1.5, whatever that is per hour. All right, so it says calculate his overtime wage for 10 hours. So if you work for 10 hours, his overtime rate would be 14 multiplied by 1.5, which would give us 14 times 1.5. That would give us 21. So for overtime, he's paid $21 per hour. So if you work 10 hours overtime wage, it would be 21 multiplied by 10. And 21 multiplied by 10 would give us $210. All right, $210. So 1 mark. All right, 1 mark. This should be 1 mark, not marks, right? All right, all right, all right. How we looking? How we looking, folks? How we looking? Yeah, when you see one mark, don't think too much about it. Just run straight into it head on. Of course, I want to read the question. Read it carefully though. Don't run head on and do craziness. So it says the last one for 3 marks. Calculate the total wages earned by the truck driver for a 55-hour week. So the thing is, his normal working week is 40 hours. So what we need to do first, we must find the money that he made during the normal working hours, which would be 40 hours. So his wage, his basic wage. So if he worked 55 hours, that means he worked 40 hours normal, and 55 minus 40 would be 15 hours overtime. So 40 hours you work normal and 15 hours overtime. So his basic wage would be 40 multiplied by, what is his normal hourly rate? 14. So 40 multiplied by 14, and 40, is it 14? Yes, hourly rate 14. So 40 times 14, that would give us 560. I think we found 560 already. 560. Did we find 560? Yeah, we actually did find it already. So no need to do all this, right? And then his overtime wage would be, I think his overtime rate is $21. This would be 21 multiplied by 15, which would give us 21 multiplied by 15. That would give us 315. So 315. So his total wage would be 560 plus 315. And hence, that would give us, when we add these two together, we should get $875. That is what he worked for that week. Komisha wants a shout out. Okay, Komisha. Shout out Komisha. Shout out Komisha. Somebody's asking who set the test. The person who set the test set it very easy. It's an easy test. And Natifa. So let's go. So it says, the next one says the cash price of a laptop is $1,299. It can be bought on hire purchase by making a deposit of $350 and 10 monthly installments of $120 each. What is the total hire purchase of price of the laptop? So with hire purchase, this happens in real life at courts. What's the other place? Lucky Dollar, and these are the places in which if you want to buy a chair set and you don't have the money to buy the chair set, they will tell you, okay, you come and you pay, if the chair set is worth 300,000, you come and you pay 20,000 deposit, and each month you pay probably 30,000 or something, or 20,000. All right. And then you pay 20, they will give you a length of time to pay for. So if you pay 20,000 deposit and each month you pay 10,000, they will tell you pay 10,000 for 3 years. So rather than paying the full price, the full 300,000, you will pay down some money and then pay equal installments for the 2 years. What happens in Guyana is that, we pay down and then we buy the chair set and then we change our address so we ain't got to pay anything. But that is illegal, or probably it is legal. I don't know. But let's go back to the question. So what is the higher purchase price of the laptop? So we saw that he made a down payment of 350 and 10 monthly installments of 120 each. So after 10 months, the total installment would be 120 times 10, and that would give us $1,200. And the total higher purchase price would be the deposit that he made for 350 plus the 1,200. Hence, that would give us, when we add this together, we will get $1,550. All right, and that was that. So how much money did he save by purchasing the laptop? Cash. So the money saved. So of course, if this is the higher purchase price and this is the cash price, the money saved would simply be, come on, 1,550 minus $1,299. And when we subtract these two, we should get a value of $251. That is the amount of money saved. The people that saying that this test was hard, you ain't really hard part yet, you're being dramatic. If you're not being dramatic, that means you did not study for the test. All right, that means you went into the exam with just thoughts and prayers. And you cannot go into your exam with thoughts and prayers and expect to pass. Right? Thoughts and prayers will take you through the exam safely without harm, but they don't allow you to pass the exam. You only pass by studying. So let's go. Store owner bought 5 shorts for $12,750 and sold them for 3,700 each. Calculate his profit. So if he sold how many shorts? 5 shorts. So the money earned would be 3,700 multiplied by 5. So that would be 3,700 multiplied by 5. That would give us 18,500. Hence his profit. His profit would be 18,500 subtract $12,750. Hence his profit would therefore be $5,750. All right. I would love to get the work in, please. When you have screenshot it and write it over. All right, screenshot. You got plenty apps now, man. You got plenty apps you could screenshot and then merge together and so on, man. All right. So calculate his profit percentage of the cost price. So when you want to find profit percent or loss percent, it's always of the cost price. It's always of the original price that you started off with. All right. So his profit percent would be this is his profit that he made. So it's profit percent. Its profit percent would be the profit, which is 5,750 over the original over 12,750 multiplied by 100. And we do the math, you work out, multiply the top by the top and the bottom by the bottom, we should get 45.1%. All right, there's zero, go with that zero. And yeah, when you work this out, we should get 45. So let me multiply. So 5,750 multiplied by 10 will give us that, and we divide that by 1275, 1,075, we should get 45.098, so on. So we run out of the three significant figures, which is 45.1. All right, that is the answer for that question. 12, 11 marks. So we had 9 plus 11. How are we looking? 20. How are we looking out of 20, folks? How are we looking out of 20? How are we looking out of 20? So I see the students from Morara now. They're tuned in. Shout out to the students from Morara now. Morara now. Oh, anyways, shout out to those students. See y'all are locked in. Excellent. Love to see it. Love to see it. And Leela. Shout out to Leela. Shout out to Leela for Region 1 who's also tuned in. All right. So let's carry on to number 3. We're into some algebra, my favorite part of maths, and all of my students' favorite part of maths, and all of the students in Guyana and around the Caribbean's favorite part, algebra. All right. So factorize completely. So I guess this one beat up a lot of people. So the thing is, we can't factorize this as a quadratic because we got this here. The highest power that can be in a quadratic is 2. So this is not a quadratic, it's because this is not in the general form either. We can't do difference of 2 squared because it's not 2 terms. So the only way that is left to factorize, as I said in a video that I posted, like the last 2 videos, there are 3 main ways in which you can be asked to factorize. Either the AC method, difference of 2 squared, or the distributive law method. Or sometimes some people may say perfect square, but you can use the AC method to get perfect square as well. So I don't really fight up behind that, but there are 3 main ways. So this here you have to use a distributive law method because we can't do anything else. So we look through all 3 terms and we pull out the highest common factor between all 3. And the thing that I tell my students, you do 3 steps. You start off with the sign, then the number, and then the variables. So we see the sign in front here is plus, so we factor out that plus, that won't change anything. Then we look at the numbers. We have 10, 5, and 15. The highest common factor between 10, 5, and 15 would obviously be 5. And then we look at the variables. Let's look at the variables with the same letter. So we got x to the third, x to the second, and x. So the highest common one would just be the x, right? X to the fourth power, x. And then we look at the y's. So we have y to the second, y to the fifth, and y to the third. So the highest common one would be, the y to the third. So we factor the y to the third. And hence, when we factor out, so I'll do the work in here. So 10x cubed y squared. When we factor out 5xy cubed, or it can't be cubed. This would be the second power, my bad, second power. So when you factor out that, 5 into 10 would be 2. Y will cancel out to that y, so we're left with, and the x will go with one of this x. So we're left with 2x squared. All right. And then we have the 5x squared y to the fifth, all divided by the same common factor. So 5xy squared. So this 5 will go with that 5. This x will go with one of this x. 2 of this y will go with 2 of this here. So we're left with plus x y to the third power. And the last one, we have negative 15x y cubed, and that divided by the common factor, which is 5xy squared. So 2 of this y will go with 2 of this here. This 5 into this 15 will be 3. And this x will go with this x. So we're then left with minus 3 y. And that's our answer. That's our answer. The thing is, if you want to check to see if your answer is correct, you can just, distribute and see if you'll get back what you have it up here. So let's double check it. You want to double check it, CXC, right? You want to double check your answer. You want to make sure you get these 2 marks. So 5 times 2 is 10, x times x squared would be x to the third, y. All right, that first one is correct. Then you distribute here. So 5x to the second power, y to the fifth power, that is correct. And then you distribute here, negative will remain. 5 times 3 is 15. X will be the x, and y squared times y would be y to the power of 1. That's your answer. All right, good. So let's carry on. And that is that. Distributive lie, just pull out the highest common factor. Look back at the previous video that I did, man. Lovely video, beautiful video. So the next one, factorize. This one here. So we have 625. 625 minus 100x squared. So the thing is, we have two terms. When you see two terms in CXC, especially if they're subtracting, your mind should immediately jump to difference of 2 squared. But the most satisfy a third option, or if option, the most satisfy the third something. These two terms must be square terms, meaning if you can multiply something by itself to give you those two terms. So we got 625 and we got 100 and x squared. So 625, we ask ourselves, can we multiply anything by itself to give you 625? I'm thinking 25. Let me try. 25 times 25 would give us 625. So it maps 25. Then we have 100x squared. So we know we can multiply 10 by 10 to get 100 and x by x to get x squared. So they are square terms. So what we do, you open two beautiful brackets and we ask ourselves, what can we multiply to give you 625? So we put the 25 here and the 25 here. And do the same thing for the 100, which the 100x squared. So that would be 10x and 10x here. And in one bracket you add and the other bracket you subtract, and you go away the exam with, well, in this case, 2 marks. Most times these questions go for 1 mark, but you go away the exam with 2 marks. All right, nice and easy, beautiful. All right. So let's go. The next one, make t the subject of the formula. So how do you make t the subject? So for me, to make t the subject, I would start off by just distributing this 2 throughout. So this would be p is equal to 3t minus 4 over 2 times t would be 2t. 2 times 5 would be 10. That's the first thing I would do. All right. And then I would, of course, I want to get rid of this denominator. You don't like denominators. You always try to get rid of the denominator. All right, so we take over this entire denominator is divided. And we take that over, we know it will multiply. Because the entire thing is divided, we take it over and multiply. So we'll have P multiply. Now this multiplication, you got to be careful. This P has to multiply everything. It can't just multiply the 2t alone. It has to multiply everything. So to guarantee that, we put everything in a bracket. This will be 2t plus 10 is equal to 3t minus 4. And then I'll do some distribution. I'll distribute the p throughout. You always try to get rid of brackets. Anything outside the bracket, you always try to distribute it so they can get rid of those brackets. So this will be 2 TP plus 10P is equal to 3T minus 4. And the objective is to make T the subject. How many marks did this question go for? 3? All right, deserving 3 marks. I had to do some work. All right, deserving 3 marks. So next, what I want to do, since I see I have a T here and I have a T here, there's a lot of T's. So what I will do, I'll put all of the T's on one side. That will help me to make T the subject. So I'll bring over this T and put it with this T here. So I'll have now 2TP. And since this is adding, we take it over to subtract. So we'll have subtract 3T is equal to, and I'll carry over this plus 10. So when it goes over, become negative 4 minus 10p. And then we have a t here, and we have a t here. And we ask ourselves, what operation can we do to turn these two t's into one t? So I know the beautiful thing that I can do, I can factor out the t, and then that will just leave me with 1t. So I'll factor out the t from those two terms. I'll have t, open bracket, 2p minus 3 is equal to negative 4 minus 10p. Then the last step, I want to leave t by itself. So I see everything here is multiplying the t. So I can just take that over the equal sign. And hence, I'll have t is equal to negative 4 minus 10p all over. Since this is multiplying, I take it everything over, it will divide. So I'll have 2p minus 3. And that is how I make t the subject for 3 marks. All right, there's another fancy thing you can do to get rid of the negative in front here, but we leave it at that. No, we leave it at that step. All right. Another answer. Let me just see. Or let me just put in the or just in case anybody, did this. So what we can do, we can multiply the top by -1 and the bottom by -1. That won't change the fraction. That is like if we kind of reducing, but it's equivalent fractions. So this answer could be it. You can leave it just like that. I would say leave it like that, but just in case anybody did anything different. So this will turn into, the top will turn into positive 4 plus 10p over negative 2p plus 3. And then I'll shift around the bottom and I'll say 4 plus 10p over 3 minus 2p. All right. Either one of these answers you can get, but I would say leave it just as this. All right. I would leave it, don't do anything fancy next to know your answer wrong. All right, somebody said they at least get 1 for this. All right. So let's carry on. So this one says solve the inequality and express the solution on a number line. I love inequalities. And I hope all of you that are here, you love inequalities just as much as I love inequalities. Reason why I love inequalities because it's just like solving an equation. So instead of this inequality sign, if you are you're accustomed to inequality, equal sign, you can just replace it with equal sign. So, but we work it just like how we would work if we had an equal sign. So a common thing that, I would say to do, you can, do a little thing in your car now. Rewrite the question 2x minus 1 equals 6. And then you work it. You saw from there, if this inequality sign for some reason confuses you, but the same thing that you do with an equal sign, you will do it with an inequality sign. So let's distribute. So we distribute the 3 throughout. So 3 times 2x will give us 6x. 3 times -1 will give us -3, and that will be greater than 6. And then we take over the -3. So the 3 is subtracting, and we take it over the add. So we'll have 6x is greater than 6 plus 3, which will just simplify and give us 9. Then the 6 now is multiplying. When we take it over to the divide, we'll have x is greater than 9 divided by 6. Hence, x would be equal to, 3, 2, 6. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So 3 over 2. 3 divided by 2 will give us 1.5. So x is equal to 1.5. All right. Somebody says shout out to the bestie Kenson. Somebody saying shout out to the bestie Kenson. So Kenson, if you're on here, your bestie says hi. So to represent this on a number line, you put a 0 here. And we drawing, we put 1, we put 2, we put 3, we put 4, put -1, -2, -3, and so on. So to represent, oh, this is not equal. Where did I get equal sign from? This is greater than, eh? So don't make that mistake, folks. So x is greater than 1.5. So if here is 1, 1.5 would be right in between here. So we draw a circle in between. We draw a circle of 1.5, right? Now, there are two types of circle you will draw. Either a circle like this without shading, or you draw a circle and you shade it. The only reason we shade the circle is if we have greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. When we have this equal to sign at the bottom, then is when we shade. When we just have the more than and the less than without any equal to at the bottom, we don't shade it. I mean, don't shade it, that is telling you that that is not included in the solution. When you shade, that is telling you because of the equal to part, that is included in the solution. So this is x is greater than that. So greater than, we know we go into that direction. So we draw an arrow to that direction. And hence you get your full 2 marks here. All right, good. And that was that. Then we have solved the simultaneous equation. Somebody told me this, they had a bright smile when they saw this here. So let's solve this quickly. Right, so we can either use the elimination method or we can use the substitution. Either one, they did the state, so you can use either one, or you can even use the matrix method if you're feeling fancy. So first thing I'll do, a label, let's call this equation 1 and call this equation 2. So what I will do, since I see y is by itself here, positive y is by itself, I will just make that y the subject. And I have y is equal to 12, and I take over this to become minus 2x. And I can call this equation 3. So then I will take, since I involved equation 2 already, I'll take equation 3, which has y as a subject, and I'll substitute that into the one that I did not use as yet, which is equation 1. So I have 5x plus 3y. Now, so let me put in a step here. Substitute y equals 12 minus 2x in equation 1. So the 3 is multiplying the y. So when we substitute y, we'll have 12 minus 2x, and that will multiply the 3, and that will be equal to 31. All right, so if you work the other method, it's okay. You should get the same answer. So let's distribute the 3 throughout. So we'll have 5x and 3 multiplied by 12. That would give us 3 12s, 36. 3 multiplied by negative 2, that will give us a negative 6x. That's equal to 31. So I'll put all the x's on one side. I'll put all the x's on one side of the equation. So we'll have 5x minus 6x is equal to 31 minus, when I carry over this 36, it will become minus 36. 5x minus 6x, that will give us a negative 1x, or we can say a negative x. And hence 31 minus 31 minus 36, that would give us a negative 5. And hence we have negative x is equal to negative 5. So this negative, we just cancel that negative. So we have x is equal to 5. And that would be the value of x. So if you stop there, you forfeit half of the marks. So you want to go and solve for y. So then we'll substitute x equal 5 in. Now you can either use equation 1, equation 2, or equation 3. It doesn't matter. Absolutely does not matter. But the easiest one to use would be equation 3. So because y is already the subject, so we say y is equal to, which is this equation here, y is equal to 12 minus 2 times x, which is 5. So y is equal to 12 minus 2 5 is 10, hence y is equal to 2. So we can say therefore x is equal to 5, y is equal to 2. All right, I can see in the chat some persons saying they got this. Nice, lovely. All right. So our next example, please put 2 plus 2. Me can put it. Why me can put it? How me? Why should I put it? Now me gotta put it too. So I said the exam gotta put it. I don't know who said the exam. How are we looking so far? We have 11 marks there. That was his number. Somebody saying why only 2 marks? Because it's easy. It's simple stuff. You just gotta follow sequence. That's why it's only 2 marks. How are we looking so far? So let's go to number 4. All right. Number 4 says find the value of x and y. Give reasons for your answer. Somebody say next exam they will get time. Oh, you know the coming in the next exam. So let's go. So the value of x and y. So we have two parallel lines here. We know they're parallel because of this symbol. So we know they're parallel. There are many ways you can find this here, absolutely countless ways. Um, so let's go. So let's find x force. So we see x would be equal to, so if here is 56, because of the parallel lines, we know here will also be 56. And then x would therefore be equal to x would therefore be equal to, since it's on a straight angle, the straight line, we say 180 minus 56, which will therefore give us x is equal to 124 degrees. So that is x. And our rationale or reason would be um, x and 56 are on a straight line or a straight angle. Yeah, that's one reason you can state. There's one reason. Or you can even say these two angles are corresponding angles. A lot of things you can state. All right, and the next one, y. So we see if here is 47. We know here would be 180 minus 47, which would be 180 minus 47, we 133. And because here is 133, we know y will also be equal to 133. So y is equal to 133. And hence we can say y and angle 133 are corresponding angles. All right, and that would be your answer. So as long as if you got, I think this went for 3 marks. If you got just the answers without a reason, I think you'll probably get 1 mark or two or so. But you need to state a reason. There are many reasons you could have stated. 3 marks, proud of yourself. Yes, you should be. All right, how we looking? How we looking? How we looking? I know teenagers, you call yourself a group of people, you call them chat. So I'll use that term. How are we looking, chat? How are we looking? Did we beat the maths or the maths beating we so far? How is the competition? Who on the ropes? You on the ropes or maths on the rope? Who's swinging who bobbing and weaving and who flinging the punches? You or maths? All right, so this one I'll do a separate video for this because I don't have the tools to do this online. I have the tools, but it's something tedious to do. So I'll do this one in a separate video, and I'll upload it actually tomorrow or whenever I complete it, right? So I can't do this one here. So let's move on to the others. All right, so this one says the diagram below is not drawn to scale. The diagram below is not drawn to scale. Calculate the size of angle X and Y, giving reasons for your answer. So fifth formers or students who write an exam this year. So we see, and I think that I would label, I like the label. So A, B, C, D, E. I like to label them. So we see we have angle ABD, ABD. We have angle ACD, ACD. So we see the two end numbers are the same, and we just have the middle number. So we can safely say that those two angles are in the same segment. So hence we can say x is equal to 40. And the reason angles in the same segment are equal. All right, and the next one, they want us to find angle y. So if you look closely, we see uh, four-sided shape being formed here. From the time you have a four-sided shape, your mind should be thinking to a cyclic quadrilateral. And in a cyclic quadrilateral, the opposite angles are supplementary. So we can say angle Y is equal to 180 minus 40. So angle Y is equal to 140 degrees. And the reason would be opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral are supplementary. All right. Somebody said, boom, boof, 4 marks gone. Wow, whose magic you doing now? So that was 11 marks. All right. So let's carry on. This one, 5 mark, number five. Number five. Now, the thing is, these questions here are easy, man. Especially when you have complete table, man. Now, these questions are easy. So, you see, we got the midpoint. We got to fill out the midpoint. And then we got to add up this here, man. Come on. So, let's see the midpoint. The thing is, even if you don't know to find midpoint, they already calculate one for you. So, the sensible thing to do The sensible thing to do was be like, how did they find this eight? What did they do to find the eight? And then you see how they find the eight, and then you're gonna find the rest. That would be the sensible thing if you've never seen midpoint in your entire life. That is what the sensible thing. That would be the sensible thing to do. So we see they just add up 6 and 8, 6 and 10 to give you 16, and you divide that by 2 to get the 8. So in the same way, we add 11 and 15, and we divide that by 2, and that would give us 13. We add the 16 and the 20, that will give us 36. And we divide that by 2, that will give us 18. So once again, we see a trend in which we just increase it by 5. So even if you don't know, just increase by 5 and go through. But let's continue though. 21 plus 25, that will give us 46. 46 divided by 2 is 23. 26 plus 30, that will give us 56. 56 divided by 2 will give us 28. And 35 plus 31, that will give us what by 66? 66 divided by 2 will give us 33. And all the marks there for that section, you've gotten. What is it? I gotta get this one. All right. Then they asked you to fold this piece. So they told us it's 38 students. So when you add up all this, you should get 38. If you can get 38, well, and even if they told us that here, 38. And then we have f times x. Come on, come on. Unless you somehow, you can't read or so, that's the only way you can be getting this wrong. F times x. You see this whole column here is f, and we see this column is x. How did they get the 16? All they do is multiply the 8 by the 2. So to get this part, we just multiply the 13 by the 7, and we do that throughout. So 13 by 7 will give us 91. 18 by 12, that would give us 216. 23 by 15, that would give us 345. 28 by 2, that would give us 56. And 33 by 0 would give us 0. Hence, and we add all this together, we punch it in a calculator, we get 16 plus 91 plus 216 plus 345 plus 56. That would give us 724, and that is our 4 marks there. 4 marks, nice and easy. All right. 4 marks. Next one, calculate the mean number of minutes taken by the pupils to solve the problem. So to find the mean here, the mean is equal to, I think when we did the live the other night, a student was saying sigma something, sigma f of x over sigma f. And everybody in the chat was like, Sigma, who's Sigma? Where's Sigma come from as one? Anyways, the mean is the sum of f of x divided by the sum of f. This means it's just this total what you got here, that is the sum. Sum means you add up all this here. That's what this fancy E means. This is simply 724 all divided by the sum of the frequency, which is 38. Hence, when we divide these two, I think we will get 724 divided by 38. That will give us 19.05. And we can round that off as 19.1. So the mean is 19.1. All right. How we looking, are we stretching? How we looking, chat? Anybody was here since the beginning? Do we have anybody that was here since the beginning? Any of my people here? Anybody, any of my my people are here? Anyway, let's go. So calculate the probability that a student chosen at random took more than 20 minutes to complete the problem. All right, big up yourself if you've been here since the beginning. Big up yourself. That means you are interested in learning, and that is the key to passing maths. Let me just leave this little dime here. Anybody who wants to pass maths will pass maths. The people who fail maths, they don't want to pass maths. They like the idea of passing maths, but they don't necessarily want to do the work. They don't want to go and look at any YouTube video. They don't want to practice. They just want to go in the exam with thoughts and prayers and hope for the best. So if you want to pass maths, you will pass. I've never seen anybody that want to pass maths that fail maths. All right, so let's go. Calculate the probability that a pupil chosen at random took more than 20 minutes to complete the problem. Body we want here, although. Well, anyways, let me not block you. Or wait, is it way doing ban you? So probability that it took more than 20 minutes. 20 minutes would be here's 20 minutes. It took more than 20 minutes would be not this. More than 20 minutes would be all of these people here. So we have 17 people taking more than 20 minutes. So the probability that they took more than 20 minutes would simply be 17 over the total number of students we had, which would be 38. The 17 divided by 38 would be 0.45. All right, 0.45, that's the probability. Let me see. 17 divided by 38, 0.4473, and so on. So that would be 0.45. So that's the probability. All right, you can leave this as 17, or you can put this as the answer. It doesn't matter. Somebody said they put 20 over 38, that would be wrong, right? If you didn't put the decimal, that means you got it wrong. You can't put percentage, not percentage, probability cannot exceed 1. Probability goes from 0 to 1. It can't exceed 1. That's why it's either a fraction or it's a decimal or it's a percentage. It can't exceed 1. All right, so probability is the total number of favorable outcomes that we want. In this case, all the people over 20 minutes, which would be all of these persons here, all of these persons, over the total number of students, which would be 38. All right, let's proceed. So draw the histogram to represent the data in the table. So we got a data in the table. So for the histogram, we'll use the boundaries to get a hit. to do the histogram. When you do histogram and cumulative frequency, you want to use the boundaries. All right. Why do we use the boundaries? Because with the histogram, there's no space in between the graph. So when you use the boundaries to draw the histogram, that would be the correct thing to use because there's no space. All right, so the first one would be 2, and we'll start off with the lower boundary and the upper boundary. So this would be 0.5 and not 0.5, sorry, 5.5 and 10.5. So, right, so let me just draw in. Wow, this is a big graph paper. So let me just draw in this at the bottom here. Let me just draw up here. All right, did they give us a scale? No. So I'll just use, what's the highest we have? 15 is the highest. So I'll just count in twos. So I'll count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And here would represent the frequency. And then at the bottom here, I'll have the time. So for the time, I'll use the boundaries. So I'll start off with 5.5 to 10.5. So I can say 5.5. So I'll count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Would that be enough? Yeah. So I'll just count in fives at the bottom. So 5.5, that would be like somewhere here. So I'll draw up. And the first one is 2, so I'll draw up all the way to 2. I draw across. So this is 5.5, 10.5. And the next one that I have is 7. And I'll go to 15.5. So 15.5. And I would go to 7. So all the way to 7. So if here is 6, 7 will be like right here. And I'll draw up all the way there. So of course you would have the ruler to make this look neater. So let me just deepen my thing. Next one we have would be 12. So I'll go all the way to 12. So 12 would be till here, and then I draw down here, draw down here. I think that would be 20.5. Next one would be 15, so I'll go all the way to 15. So that'll be 15, so I'll draw here all the way to 15. I draw down, and I'll draw down here. That'll take me to 25.5, and then the last one I think would be 2. So I come down back to 2, then this would be 30.5. And that would be my histogram. All right, and that would be my histogram. Once again, the reason why you use boundaries for your histogram is because the histogram has to connect, right? By the way, you will use a rule, and this would be way more well neater than how I have it. The reason why I use boundaries is because they have to connect, right? Histogram, the key to a histogram, they have no space in between them. For me, time you have space in between the bars, that is not a histogram, that's a bar chart. Somebody said they thought it was supposed to be a graph. So what do we call this? All right, so let's proceed to the big man. This is the one that beat up a lot of people. Number 6. So number 6 is, so let's take our time with number 6. It's very easy actually. So number 6 is a circular drain pipe shown in figure 1. Shown in figure 1 above, not drawn to scale, is 1 meters long with the outer and inner radii of 20 cm and 15 cm, respectively. In figure 2, the cross section of the drain pipe is shown. Use pi as 22/7. So when I say cross section, that means, this part here is the cross section. Like if I cut this thing straight down, a cylinder will still be there. That is the cross section. So it's like if we turn the shape to face us, this is what it would look like. And if I cut this thing like plantain, this is the shape, it will still remain this shape. So that is the cross section. All right. So the first one, calculate the area of the cross section of the drain pipe. Area of the cross section. So area of the cross section would be the area of this piece here. So what we need to do, we need to find the area of this outer piece. So the area of that would be, so the area of outer would be, it's a circle, so it would be pi r squared. So we know pi is 22/7 multiplied by r, which is the total r would be 20. 20, 20 squared. So when you punch this in our calculator, we should get 22 times 20 times 20 divided by 7 will give us 1257.14 cm squared. And then the area of inner would be same pi r squared. So we know pi would be 22/7 multiplied by r. They told us r is 15. So this would be times 15 squared. So when you work this out, you'll get 22 times 15 times 15. And then we divide that by 7. That would give us 707.14. And then we can therefore say the area of the area of cross section it would be 1257.14 subtract 707.14. Hence, so 1257 subtract 707, that should give us 550 cm squared. All right, and that is the question. That is the answer there for that. 2 marks, actually 3 marks. Easy 3 marks, right? So all you needed to do was just find the area of the inner by the area of the outer, and then you subtract, and that's the answer here. Nothing big and fancy. Next, calculate the amount in cm cube of material needed to construct the drain pipe. Now, from the time you say cm cube, or you see any cubic meters, your mind should be thinking, what is measured in cm cube? And if you don't understand, this should be a logic. This should be a sequence of thinking. Cm cube, your mind should, any cubic meters, your mind should be thinking about volume, right? So we basically have to find the volume of this pipe here. So remember this pipe here got a little hole in the middle. This is like a pipe, a drain pipe. You should know what a drain pipe looks like in your house. When you turn on the pipe to run water, there's a hole in between. So we want to find the volume for this here. So we already found the area of the cross section, and it's in a cylinder. It's a cylinder. So we can say the amount of materials would simply be the volume is equal to the area of the cross section, area of cross section multiplied by the length or the height or whatever you want to think about. So the area of the cross section, we already found that to be 550 cm squared multiplied by the height. Now they told us the height is 1 meter. But we see everything so far that we calculated, it's in cm. So they or even so kind to give you 1 meters is equal to 100 cm. So it will be this times 100 cm. Because we can't use meters and everything else is in cm. Hence, this will give us 55,000 cm cube. So we can therefore put a statement, 55,000 cm cube of material, would required. All right. And that is it for that question. Somebody said they want formula sheet. Now you should have been given a formula sheet indeed, right? You should have been given a formula sheet. But the one thing you should know, right? Probably this question is the only question you needed formula sheet for. But one thing you should know, right? When you want to find the area of any prism or any cylindrical shape, the volume will simply be the area of the cross section, which is the area of the face, or when you slice down the shape, multiplied by the length of the shape or the height of the shape. All right. So it's like if I have a planting, you know, the area of this face multiplied by the length of the planting, if you want to think of it like that. All right. So sometimes a planting could be straight, sometimes it could be flat on the ground. So sometimes it be length, sometimes it be height, but that is where your mind should be. All right. And the next one, calculate the capacity in liters of the hollow space of the drain pipe. So you want to find the capacity in liters. So capacity is the same thing as capacity is basically how much liquid could fill inside a certain space. So remember we have this drain pipe, and this drain pipe, remember for this drain pipe we have, for this drain pipe, let me see if I can draw this good. Yeah, there's a hole in between here. So the amount of water basically that can fit through this inner part of the drain pipe we want to find. All right. So you can say the capacity. So in order to find the capacity, you can simply find the volume of this inner part. So basically we want to find the volume of this inner piece. The volume of this inner cylinder, if you want to think of it like that. So it will be the volume of that. So they said use pi as 22/7. So the formula to find volume is pi r squared h of a cylinder, pi r squared h. So this will be 22/7 multiplied by the radius. What did they say was the radius of the inner? 15. So multiplied by 15 squared times the height. They told us the height is 100 cm. So 100. And hence, when we work this out, we will get, when you punch this in the calculator, 22 times 15 squared times 100 divided by 7. That would give us 70,714.2 cm cube. So that is the volume. So they told us they want us to find the capacity in liters. So to convert from cm cube to liters, all we needed, did they give us what that is? All right, they weren't so kind. Did they give us what? I didn't give us. Actually, they did. So the thing is, if you look at the bottom here, we see 1 liter is equal to 1,000 cm cube. So To convert cm cubed to liters, all we needed to do would be divide this by 1,000. So we can say capacity will therefore be equal to, right? Divide this by 1,000. This will jump 1, 2, 3, 70.7142 liters. And that would be your answer there. Did they say wrong? So we can round this off to 70.7 liters. And that would be your answer. So capacity, the takeaway here is capacity is, volume, but, we convert it to liters, the amount of liters that can fit in a certain space. Anybody got this one correct? Measurement questions are typically challenging, very challenging. So don't beat yourself up too much. Typically challenging. Did anybody get this one correct? Anybody cook with this one? Nah, I see nobody. So the last one, this one was tight. I won't lie to y'all. This one was a little tight. This one was tight, right? So if you didn't get this one, don't feel anyway at all, at all, at all, at all. This one here was tight. All right? This one here was a little tight. So it says they want us to calculate the volume in liters of water passing through the pipe in 1 minute if water flows through the pipe at a speed of 1 meter per second. Once I want to add this one a little tight. All right. So they want us to calculate the amount of volume in liters. So they give us the conversion, 1 liter is equal to that. So we can find the volume first, and then we can just divide it by 1,000. So here's the thing. So they told us that water is flowing through this pipe at 1 meter per second. And they want us to calculate the amount of water that passed through the pipe for 1 minute. So we got this pipe here, and we see 1 minute of water. If it's 1 meter per second, we know 1 meter per second. So 1 minute would be 60 seconds. So this would be 1 times 60 will give us 60 meters of water. The water meter distance of 60 meters. So through this pipe, this water will meet a distance of 60 meters. So we can say the length here would be 60 meters. 60 meters of cylinder, you can see the water took over. 60 meters of length, the water took over in the cylinder. So we can say that length there is 60 meters. The distance is 60 meters, or you can say the length is 60 meters. All right. So to find the amount of volume now, all right, to find the amount of volume, it will be, now the thing is we can't use 60 meters because all the time we're using cm, right? So we convert this 60 to cm, so 60 meters to cm would be, we know the rule, we know the thing, many Chinese died, many days Hong Kong. So we put the 1 over meter and we go to cm, so this would be 60 times 100 would be 6,000 cm. So we can see this here would be 6,000 cm. So that is the length, right? So to find the amount of to find the volume here, we gotta find the volume of the inner part again. So you can say volume of inner part, because remember the water will flow through the inner part. Just the inner part of the water will take over. So volume of inner would be pi r squared h. The h in this case would be the 6,000 cm. So we know pi would be 22 over 7 multiplied by r. R for the inner, I think, is 15. So 15 squared multiplied by the height, in this case, which is 6,000. So 6,000. So when we punch in all of this in our calculator, we will get 22 times 15 squared times 6,000. That'll give us that, and we divide that by 7. That would give us, let me write the number for us, and then I'll call it. So this looks like 4,242,857.13 cm cube, but they want the volume in liters. So of course you have to divide this by 1,000. So this 0 bring it back here, this 0 bring it back here, this 0 bring it back here. So we can say this is 4,242.857. And then we can round this off to one decimal place. So we can say 4,242.9 liters. And that is the answer. All right, for 3 marks. So as I said, these measurement questions, they typically require you to do some amount of analytical thinking. Sometimes they come very hard, sometimes they come very easy, sometimes they come in between. You never know how it will come for CSEC. But don't allow this question in the exam to tie you down. And then, you'll get it wrong either ways if you spend a lot of time on it. And then you miss out on all these other marks. So if it gave you trouble, move on. All right. So the next one says, well, if it hard, I would advise, when the video done, you go back, pause the video as I'm working, and then, you work from there. So pause and then, work. Anybody looking back at the video should probably said this at the beginning, but anyways. So number 7 says a large equilateral triangle is subdivided into a set of smaller triangles by following the procedure. The midpoint of the sides of each equilateral triangle are joined to form a new set of smaller triangles. The procedure is repeated many times. All right. Shout out to Yaro Cabra Secondary. All right. Shout out to Yaro Cabra, all the way in Region 4. Big up to Yaro Cabra. All right. So the table below shows the results when the procedure has been repeated twice. That is when n is equal to 2. Good. So they didn't tell you complete the table. They just gave us a table. Most likely you have to complete the table. So they said, calculate the number of triangles formed when n is equal to 3. So my thing is, man, they didn't tell you how to draw anything. So reading is fundamental. Reading is key. They didn't tell you draw any triangles. I hope nobody went in a shape and tried to draw a triangle and then you do some fancy thing. And they didn't tell you draw. And the space there, it doesn't even look as though you could draw anything. So what they want you to do, they want you to find the number of triangles formed when n is equal to 3. So we see we have n here, and we have the number of triangles formed here. So this is the section that we're looking at. So we see when we have 0 triangle, when we have 0, when n is 0, this is equal to 1. When n is 1, we see it's equal to 4. We see when n is 2, it's equal to 16. So from here, we can see this thing it's like a square in something. Can we move from 1 and then to 4 and then from 4 to 16? So it's look as though we're multiplying by 4 all the time. So for me, even though I didn't figure out the pattern, I would like to think, that 16 times 4 would give us what that is. All right, 16 times 4 would give us that. That is if you didn't figure out the pattern. Let me see that would give us 16 times 4. 16 times 4 would give us 64, right? So even if you had to get 1 mark, you would get the 54. But that is not the rule. Let's see if we can figure out the rule. They didn't ask you for the rule, they just tell you calculate the number of triangles. So you could have done that and gotten 2 marks. All right? Just 16 times 4. Can we see like it's multiplying by 4. You multiply that by 4. You multiply this by 4. You multiply this by 4. That is what they keep looking at it doing. But let's look and see if we can, how did we move from 0 to 1? How did we move from 1 to 4? All right? So we see something, if we multiply 4 by 0, that will give us 1. So multiply this by 4, that will give us 1, but so that pattern can't work. So the pattern is something is raised to some power. So if we raise 4, right, because we have to use 4 raised to the 0th power, anything raised to the 0th power is 1. 4 raised to the 4th power is 4. 4 raised to the 2nd power is 16. And then 4 raised to the 3rd power will be 64 indeed. So the answer is 64. So 4 raised to the 3rd power, which would be 4 times 4 times 4 would be 64. And the thing is, we multiply this by 4, multiply this by 4, multiply this by 4. So, we keep raising the number to a certain power. That is another way you could have figured that out. All right, and the next one says, uh, 6. So this will obviously be, if it's 4 raised to the third power, this will be 4 raised to the 6th power. Would give us what that is. Did they tell us find that? Yeah. So this will be 4 raised to the 6th power. And you can put it in your calculator. 4 raised to the 6th power would give us 4,096. So that's the answer there. Easy marks. My thing is, even if you didn't figure out the pattern, a smart thing to do, all right, you multiply this by 4, you multiply this by 4, and then you multiply this by 4 until you reach 6. And you get 4 marks there, if you are smart. All right, if you didn't figure out this pattern, but if you were smart, you could have done that. Okay, the next, to move to 4, is you multiply this by 4. To move to 5, is you multiply that answer by 4. To move to 6, you multiply that answer by 4. All right, sometimes you gotta be desperate like that. Shout out to Vernoop Secondary. Big up Vernoop, bring up everybody from Vernoop. Glad to have you here with us. So the next one says a shape has 65,536 small triangles. Calculate the value of n. So we see 4 is raised to the n power, and that is equal to 65,536. They want us to find the value of n. So we ask ourselves, what this here is something we raise 4 to a certain power to get this here. So I will do some trial and error on my calculator. So I can try 4 raised to the 7th power. That will give me 16,000 something. So if I raise 4 to the 8th power, I see I will get that exact answer. So you can say 4n is equal to 4 raised to the 8th power. And these two bases are the same, so that means these two powers are equal. So I will say n is equal to 8. So the value of n is equal to 8. All right, as easy as that. The next one, I think this one kind of fooled people. Write an expression to represent the number of triangles in a shape after carrying out the procedure n times. So if we say that when we carry out the procedure one time is 4 raised to the 4th power, and when we carry out the procedure 2 times is 4 raised to the 2nd power, 3 times is 4 raised to the 3rd power. So for m times, it's obviously 4 raised to the m power. And that is an easy 2 mark there. All right, an easy 2 mark, easy. All right, easy. So it's just for you to understand the question and use the thing that God blessed you with, which is common sense. All right, so it might be a little tight. I could be talking from this because, but, read the questions carefully. So let's carry on. We're wrapping up. So that is 9 marks. How are we looking so far? Did we move from since we had the marks earlier? Did we keep adding to what we had? Or did we stick up after number 4? All right, so functions. Shout out to all them schools when we done. So given that f of x is equal to 3x minus 2, g of x is equal to 2x plus 5, h of x is equal to 2x plus 3, all divided by x minus 1. They want us to calculate g of 3. All right? They want you to calculate g of 3. Let's put it up. All right, g of 3. So I love functions, and everybody should love functions. So g of 3, we just got to substitute g into this function. So g of 3 will be equal to wherever we see x, we replace and put 3. So this will be 2 times 3 plus 5. 2 3 is 6 plus 5 would be 11. So g of 3 is equal to 11. All right, nothing big and fancy there. I think 1 mark, yeah, 1 mark. Easy. So if you did not do the sensible thing and move on from the measurement, and you try to figure out the measurement question, you lose out on one easy mark here. Next thing I want you to find g, f, g of 3. So this is telling you you're taking the function g and you're putting it inside of f. All right, so you're taking the function g and put f, g of 3 and put it inside of f. So you already found g of 3 to be equal to 11. So we know this piece here is equal to 11. So all we have to do is find f of 11. All right, because we found g of 3 at the top here already. So f of 11 would be 3 times x, in this case, which is 11 minus 2, would be 3 times 11 is 33 minus 2 would be 31. All right, so 31 is the answer. Next one. If f of x is equal to 8, calculate the value of x. So the total is f of x equal to 8, so I want to write back that function f of x. So f of x is equal to 3x minus 2. F of x is equal to 3x minus 2. So they told me f of x is equal to 8. So wherever I have 8, I will replace it. Wherever I have f of x, I'll replace it with 8. So I'll have 8 is equal to 3x minus 2. When I solve for x there, a nice and easy, beautiful equation. So I carry over the 2, it become 8 plus 2 is equal to 3x. 8 plus 2 is 10, is equal to 3x. 10, the 3 is multiplied. Now I take it over, divide, so I'll have over 3 is equal to x. And so x is equal to 10 over 3. All right, that is my answer for x. 10 over 3. 10 divided by 3 is what? 10 divided by 3 is 3.323. So we can leave this at 10 over 3, or we can say 3.3, or we can say 3 and 1 over 3. It doesn't matter. All right, that's it. 2 marks. So with these questions, when they tell you f of x is equal to something or g of x is equal, be careful. F of x, f of 8, and when they tell you f of x is equal to 8. These two mean two different things. For this one, you're replacing the whole f of x with 8, and for this one, you're substituting x for 8. So be careful with that. Next one, obtain an expression in terms of x for h inverse of x. So let me write back the function h of x. So this is a nice one. So it says h of x is equal to 2x plus 3, all divided by x minus 1. So they want us to find h inverse of x. So for these questions, you first start off by, you got the steps you got to go through. Step 1, you replace h of x with y. So this will be y is equal to 2x plus 3, all divided by x plus 1. Step 2, you interchange the x and the y. Wherever you have x, you'll put y. Wherever you have y, you'll put x. So this will be x is equal to 2y plus 3, all divided by y minus 1. Steps in solving inverse functions. And then big man step, you make y the subject of the formula. So these kind of functions questions this is probably the hardest an inverse function may come. So what we got to do, we got to take over this y minus 1. It's dividing. Everything is dividing. We take it over, multiply. So we'll have x multiplied by y minus 1 is equal to 2y plus 3. So we can distribute this y throughout here. X times y would be xy. X times 1 would be minus x is equal to 2y plus 3. And then the big thing we want to do, we put all the y's on one side. Put all the y's on one side and all the other everything else on the other side. So this will be xy. We carry over this 2y. It's adding. Take the will subtract. Subtract 2y is equal to 3. This x is subtracting. And we take it over to add. And then we got two y's here. We ask ourselves, how can we, leave it one y? So we'll factor out the y. I think we did this earlier. So whenever you have two of something and you want to make it the subject, you factor it out. So when you factor out the y, we're left with x minus 2. That is equal to 3 plus x. Then the last step now, we make y the subject by taking over this here. This x minus 2, this x minus 2 is multiplying the y. When we take it over the divide, so we'll have y is equal to 3 plus x, all divided by x minus 2. Hence, the big man step, we replace y, not the big man step. The big man step was making y the subject. Now, the last step, the final step, the easiest step, we replace y with h inverse of x is equal to 3 plus x, all divided by x minus 2. Troy Roberts in the house? Is that the original Troy Roberts? Yeah, it can't be the original Troy Roberts, man. That the original Troy Roberts, and that is the answer there for 2 marks. The mock exam had vectors and matrices. Got the mock exam stopped up to a certain point, and I think in the scheme, the last mock exam that you have, I think next month, that will include every single thing in the syllabus. Chelsea 1766. I'm assuming that is Chelsea. Not sure it's Chelsea. What's up, Chelsea? I'm assuming since you asked if I remember you. Anyway, so let's go. So this one here, the following incomplete table gives points on a straight line L1. So we got X and we got Y. So this is an ordered pair, negative 2, 3. That is an ordered pair there. And we got 5, negative 11. That's another ordered pair. So they want us to find the equation of the line L1 using and complete the table. All right, so they want us to find the equation of the line. So in order for us to find the equation of the straight line, we know it's y equal mx plus c. That is the equation of the straight line. And the two important things that we need when we're finding the equation of the straight line, it's m, which is the gradient, and c, which is the y-intercept. So in order for us to find the gradient, we have to get 2 points. And they gave us these 2 points here. That's why I, put on those 2 coordinates. So let's find the gradient. So the gradient is equal to the change in y over the change in x. So it's y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So hence the gradient would be, so this is x, this is y, this is x, this is y. They can call this x1, y1, x2, y2. So y2 would be negative 11, subtract y1, which is 3, all over x2, which is 5, subtract x1, which is negative 2. Hence, the gradient will be negative 11, subtract 3 will be negative 14 over 5 plus 5 minus negative 2. Let's return that plus. That will give us 7. And hence, the gradient is equal to negative 14 divided by 7 will be negative 2. So the gradient is equal to negative 2. And next, we want to find the y-intercept. There are many ways we can find the y-intercept here. So we'll have now y is equal to m, which is negative 2x plus c. So the y-intercept is c. So we can use a pair of coordinates to find for the y-intercept. So we can use any pair. We can either use this pair here because that's what x and y represent. X and y represent any pair of coordinate on the line because we have an infinite amount of x and y coordinates on the line, infinite points. So we can use any one. Let's use this small one here. So we see y is 3. So this will be 3 is equal to negative 2 times x, which is negative 4, plus c. So this will be 3 is equal to negative 2 times negative 4 would be positive 8. plus C. Hence, C would be equal to, when we take over the 8 into subtract, we'll have 3 subtract 8. Then C is equal to 3 subtract 8 would be negative 5. So C is equal to negative 5. Feel as though I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? Oh, yeah. So where did I get this 4 from? This should be a negative 2, right? So that should be a negative 2. Yes. So this should be a negative 2, hence negative 2 times negative 2 would be 4. Hence, C would be equal to 3 minus 4, and C is equal to negative 1, right? I don't know where I got that 4 from, which in X is equal to 2, all right? So that would be it. Probably, what time is it? 9:46, already early yet. So hence we have C and we have the gradient. Hence the equation of the straight line would be y is equal to negative 2x minus 1, minus 1. All right. So that would be that. And the next thing we want to do, we want to find these values here to complete the table. So we see x is equal to 0. So this would be the equation of the line. So we see x is equal to 0. So let's work out what when x is equal to 0, what y will be. So y will be equal to negative 2 times 0 minus 1. So y will be equal to, this will be 0. So y is equal to negative 1. So here it would be negative 1. And then the next one, y is equal to negative 2 times 8 minus 1. And y is equal to negative 2 times 8 is negative 16. Negative 16 minus 1 would be y is equal to negative 17. And here is equal to negative 17. So that would be how you complete the table and get your 3 marks. This is the equation of the straight line. And so I thought we done by. Oh. So we had number 9, wrapping up the last 2 questions. In the diagram below, PQ is a vertical pole and the points P and R rest on the horizontal ground of the elevation Q. The top of the pole from R is 30 degrees. QR is a rope of length 20 meters. So they want us to determine to the nearest meter. Important thing there, nearest meter. The distance between the point P and R is here. So let's see, they told us that QR is a rope length 20 m. QR is QR. QR would be here. QR is 20. QR is a rope length 20 meters. So they want us to find the distance between the points P and R, which is just this here they want us to find. So this is a right angle triangle, so I label this. This is the hypotenuse. This is the opposite. And the one that we want to find would be the adjacent. So the distance between the points P and R would be, says along the ratio, some old horses can always hear their owners approach. So we have the hypotenuse and we want to find the adjacent. Hypotenuse and adjacent. So we see the dealing with cos, hypotenuse and adjacent. So we say cos theta is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So you can say cos theta in this case is 30 is equal to the adjacent, which is PR over the hypotenuse, which is 20. So you can say PR is equal to, we take over this 20 is divided, take over multiply, so 20 multiplied by cos 30. Hence PR is equal to 20 times cos 30. That'll be what? 17.3. And it always wanted to the nearest meter. PR is equal to 17 meters. to the nearest meter. 2 marks. Next one, the height of the flagpole PQ. PQ. So we found this here to be 17. So the height of the flagpole, so let me work that. PQ, PQ. So here's the thing. To find PQ, we see we have two sides, and in the right angle, we want to find the missing side, so we can use Pythagoras' theorem, which says the square of the longest side is equal to the sum of the squares of the two remaining sides. So we can say 20 squared is equal to 17 squared plus PQ, which is PQ squared. So we can square 20. We get 400. We square 17. We get 289 plus PQ squared. And then we work this out. So we get this here is adding, take the subtract. So we'll have 400 subtract 289 is equal to PQ squared. That will give us a value of 111 is equal to PQ squared. Hence PQ would be equal to, we take over the square to become the square root. So the square root of 111, hence PQ would be equal to 10.53. Hence PQ to the nearest meter would be 11 meters. The nearest meter. So PQ is equal to 11. Somebody said E for effort. What does paper really do to me? I feel our teenagers dramatic, man. I feel y'all too dramatic. I wonder if I was so dramatic when I was your age. I don't think so, man. I don't think I was so dramatic. Who got this one correct? So PQ is equal to 11. All right, the height of the flagpole, we found that to be 11. PQ equals 11 meters. Given that a vertical extension S of length 8 meters was made to the pole, determine the new height of PS. Determine the new height of the pole PS. Vertical of length 8 meters. So let me draw back the shape. So let's draw the shape. So they say a vertical extension was made to the pole. So where is the pole? PQ, so vertical extension of 8 meters was made to the pole. So whatever, so this is 11 meters plus 8 meters. So let me bring this down. So determine the new height of the pole, PS. So the new height would simply be, I think for 1 mark, the new height. It simply be 11 meters plus 8 meters. So 11 plus 8 is 19 meters. All right? 19 meters. That's it. Next one, the angle of elevation from R to the top of the extension. The angle of elevation from R to the top of the extension from R. So they basically want you to find this angle here So given that we want to find this angle, which is theta, and we have this length, which is 19 meters. And I think we have the other length at the bottom too, which is, so we have the 20 and we have the 17. Actually, we have the 17 at the bottom here. So we have the 19 and the 17. So we'll use that to find for the angle of elevation, which would be this angle in between here. So the angle of elevation, so we know this would be the opposite. And here is the adjacent. It says, oh, some old horses can always hear their owners approach. So we want the opposite and the adjacent. So we see tan has that. Tan has the opposite and the adjacent. So we'll say tan theta is equal to the opposite over the adjacent. So tan theta is equal to the opposite, which is 19 over the adjacent, which is 17. So tan theta is equal to 19 divided by 17. 19 divided by 17 would give us 1.1176. Hence, theta will be equal to, we are at 18 from. Where is 18? Anyways, let me not answer that 18. Let me not answer that. So tan inverse, we take over the tan to become tan inverse 1.1176. All right. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? The person who are arguing 18 and so forth. So I used 17 here and 11. All right, because you say determine to the nearest meter, so everything I rounded off to the nearest meter. So if you use if you use 17 point something, you'll end up with a slightly different answer because you square it. Nevertheless, let's proceed. So that is so the fact that, anyways, let me not go down the road. So that theta is equal to second function tan. So 1.1176. That will give us 48 degrees to the nearest degree. 48 degrees. So theta is equal to 48 degrees. Hence, we can say the angle of elevation is 48 degrees. All right. So the fact that you had to round off everything correct to the nearest meter, careful with that. And the last one, last but not least, we want this here's what number 10 says. Question 10 refers to the following pairs of similar triangles. Angle A is equal to angle P, angle B is equal to angle Q, angle C is equal to angle R. Determine the length QR. So QR. So QR. So here's the thing. QR would be here. So it told us that this 6 is equal to this 4, right? Well, not equal. They're similar triangles. So these two here are corresponding. All right. So if we divide 6 by 4, we'll get 6 divided by 4. So let's see if we get a nice number. 6 divided by 4 would give us 1.5. All right. So let me see if I multiply 12 by 1.5. Let's see what I'll get. 12 by 1.5. That will give me 18. So we see 6 divided by 4 is 1.5. Hence, to get QR, which is corresponding to this side, I'll say 12 times 1.5 will give me 18 cm. So 18 cm for there. So 18 cm. And that is that answer there. So the thing about these similar triangles, given that we have two corresponding sides, to find what this side increase to among to that side, you just divide the two sides. And then, you multiply that answer by the other sides to find the different corresponding sides. Next thing they want us to find the perimeter of triangle ABC. Triangle ABC, which would be this triangle here. So we see we have 15 here. How can we move from 15 to get this corresponding side? So last we multiply, let's see if we divide 15 by 1.5. That would give us 10. Looks like 10, all right? So we have all the sides there being 10. So we have all of the sides, 10, 12, and 4. Now we can find the perimeter. So the perimeter of that triangle will be 10 cm plus 12 cm plus 4 cm. Hence the perimeter will be equal to 10 and 12. That'll be 22, 22 and 4 will be 26 cm. Somebody said I can't take this anymore. And the last question on the paper. The diagram below shows a pair of parallel lines intersected by a transversal. Write a mathematical equation to show the relationship between x and y. So the mathematical relationship to show the mathematical equation to show the relationship between x and y. We see a little C is formed here, a C. So we can see those are co-interior angles. So co-interior angles are supplementary, meaning when we add up those angles, you look for the C. When we add up those angles, x plus y, it should give us 180 degrees. All right, so that is the answer there. X plus y is equal to 180. The last one for the paper, determine values of angle x and y, given reasons for your answer. All right, so this one. So if here 64, y is equal to 64, well, 180 minus 64, because we see a straight angle being formed here. I always look for straight angles. So 180 minus 64, that will give us 116. So y is equal to 116. The reason that we can see the angles are on a straight line. An angle x. So we see if y is uniform to y, 116, 116. We know angle x would be equal to 180 minus 116. Hence x is equal to 64. And we can say co-interior angles are supplementary. All right. And that was the entire paper. Nice and easy, 100 marks. How we looking? Did we cook in the paper? Did we pass 50? Did we pass 40? Did we pass 30? Did we pass 70? How we looking? Did we beat the maths? Or did the maths beat you? How bad? If the maths beat you, how bad did it beat you? So let me go and look at this chat now. I trust that. Let me see, where did 116 come from? And when the video finished, go back and pause it and see where the 16 came from. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Alina, you're saying, oh no, sorry, hi, Yago. Hmm. Seriously, this is your mock exam. This is your second mock exam. You have a next one coming up on, I think, sometime next month. So the beauty about this year, this is not your actual CSEC exam. You still have approximately 90 something days to turn this poor grade around into being a good grade. So do what you may with the information that you learned tonight. Do what you may with the experience that you gained from this first mock exam and prepare better for the second one so that you don't have to cry. So when you're preparing, don't aim to do everything on the paper at once. Do it chunk by chunk. The paper is 100 marks. You don't have to get a full 100 marks. Yeah, you want 50. So be smart in your preparation. All right, be smart. Tackle the topics that you're weak in and, work from there. So I trust that this video was helpful. All right. I trust that this video was helpful. Best of luck in your next mock exam. Keep preparing. A paper a day keeps the grade 4 away. So let me see who's on the chat. I do bear nonsense. All right, shout out to St. Joseph. Hi. Please change your name. Please change your name, use YouTube name. That is not the name that a student from St. Joseph should have as a username, or any student, as a matter of fact, from any school age child. Sorry, work paper one, that will be a little tight. Oh, sorry, I gotta sleep too. Sorry, is you one. Um, Big up the Harmony, big up the Good Hope Secondary. I'll take care, right? Good night, everybody. See y'all in the next mock exam. Hopefully, we'll have better comments in terms of better reaction to the paper. So y'all take care. Big up the Commons Lodge. Y'all take care. Big up the New Central High School, Zeeborg, Saints.